Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Okay, we'll go over to the war against insurgency, not the war against corruption. You probably thought that was what I was going to say. No, looking at this counter-insurgency, the war against insurgency, up in the northeast especially. Now, you have any kind of a military operation, any kind of a war, quasi or actually military, invariably there will be collateral damage. And we're talking here about the civilian populations that are either in the theater of war or are very, very close to it. Especially all sorts of unprofessional practices often used by smaller guerrilla groups such as human shields, for example. Against a conventional army, as you know, no conventional army is going to shoot at you when they see that you've put civilians in front of you. So those kind of things, and that's apart from all sorts of, torture and all sorts of untoward behavior in war. After all, they are desperate, that is the insurgents, and they know they have a superior force. So all of these things are known already, and maybe that's why the military, the Nigerian military, and other stakeholders in the defense sector got together recently and are brainstorming in Abuja on ways and means of strengthening the protection policy and limiting the collateral damage to civilians. How can this be done? That is what the eggheads are looking at, the security eggheads. And I thought it's a subject that, everybody's going to be interested in. We have two experts with us this morning to help us understand it better. Mr. Philip Agbese is a human rights researcher. He's also a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
My pleasure, always.
Indeed, our pleasure to have you. And, well, it's like the backbone of this program because he's a man of the uniform himself. Major Daniel Adetayo Banjo, retired, is director of training, Africa School of Security Technology, and a one-time military aide-de-camp to General Oladipo Dia. Thank you very much for coming on as well, Major.
My pleasure,
let me start with you. You being a soldier and all, and you haven't been on battlefields, or at least you know about being on battlefields. Now, the very difficult war we are prosecuting and what we talked about. Now, this whole matter, I imagine it will differ from place to place. The whole matter about the acceptance of the collateral damage of war. I suppose it will depend largely on where the war is situated. That is the cultural values of the people there. To some people, cultural damage, its acceptability level will depend on their practice and their values to suffering and the imposition of force. That will inform how people react to these kind of things. What do you think the situation is in Nigeria? Because my guess is that if you have Nigerian army chiefs and other people talking about this matter, my guess is that maybe it's at an unacceptably high level. But what do you think?
Thank you, Uncle Yori, for bringing me up this morning. And in my singular opinion, my personal opinion, there is no global standard defining or giving out a particular figure
or percentage or anything like that.
Anything to what collateral damages must be. We have read in history, and of late, even the United States itself regretted bombing some civilians in Afghanistan. Russians were said to have bombed some Syrian civilians. It has not really happened in Nigeria, except for once, the one that happened lately, when our Air Force mistakenly, erroneously, bombed an ID camp. And we should get it right here. Information required for operations in all military and every military in support of any operation or sub-operation within the war theater are gotten from electronic or humans.
Surveillance
and all those. Exactly. The general information that be processed into the intelligence. On the map of the Nigerian Air Force, there was no IDP camp at that location. And they had picked concentration of human beings there. That was what happened there.
Well, exactly, and that's a case in point, because the Chief of Defense Staff, as represented at the at the Parley, is reported to have said that look, no matter how well prepared and professionally trained an army is, these incidents, that is talking about collateral damage, will occur from time to time. But what Major just said, that look, even though it was there, on the maps of the Nigerian Air Force, for instance, it wasn't. You can see that there are problems there. Give me your thoughts about the challenges of prosecuting a war.
Yes, actually, we are discussing this today because the Nigerian military has actually been able to make some tremendous successes in the war against insurgency in Nigeria. You would agree with me that there was some time ago that the fighting force of the terrorists was so fierce, so strong that they could confront the military, and it was a full-blown situation. You would also agree with me that in time past, these persons had, taken over Nigerian territories, occupied these territories, declared traditional institutions, cited government for themselves. I think it was just left for them to post, ambassadors from, these territories to Nigeria and other countries before we got to this point. And a time came in the history of this war that we now got a military that was able to combat them, a military that was able to comb them, mop them from the various states of the Federation where they were actually existing, from Okene in Kogi State. They were actually in Lagos. Some of the intelligence unit were able to mob them. They drove them into Sabisa Forest, and they were able to push them out. And we kept moving on and on and on. So now this discussion has become very important because of the integrity of the current military, and we must give that to them.
Thank you very much,
coming from the human rights,
from what you're saying is that this seems to be pointing to the humaneness, if you want, of the Nigerian military.
Exactly.
That even though these successes are being made, we want to examine the costs.
Exactly. So
is it too high?
Yes. So now that discussion has become important because of the level of successes that they have recorded. And if you look at it very well, the present crop of military heads, they've been actually very, very concerned, about the civil population in terms of the war. And that is why you see, if you saw the response that followed, the remorsefulness of the Nigeria Air Force when the RAN, incident took place, and the human rights record of the Nigerian military in prosecuting the current war. Those of us from the human rights angle, we really, really know that the Nigerian military, they are doing their best, and they've continued to do their best to ensure that the life of every single Nigerian, who is involved, even to a large extent, if you look at the Boko Haram exit program that they have put in place, for commanders to willingly come, surrender, and they are integrated into the society. These are international best practices for any army in the world. And you see, sometimes when people discuss, like, when you read articles by international commentators, you just realize that people are not ready to give it to us that the theater of operation of the Nigerian military in fighting insurgency should be a library of Congress for other nations of the world that are fighting the same incident to come, study and learn from it. Our human rights record seems to be very superb in terms of, troops' relationship with the local population. You would also agree that it took a very long time, and it took professionalism for the Nigerian military. If you see the video that was released after Sabisa Forest was reclaimed, there was a period, there was a point in that video where, the government, the Air Force, camera could see the insurgents actually moving out of Sabisa Forest. But they were moving with women and children, which is unlike the terrorists. So by the time you see the way the operations are going, you know very well that the military is committed, to safeguarding the life of even, a repentant terrorist. Recently, I saw in the news where a Boko Haram terrorist was actually trying to escape onslaught by the military somewhere in Bado or so. And at the cost of trying to escape, he was injured by the military, and his own men abandoned him.
Yes.
The military soldiers of Operation Lafia Adole rescued him, took him, looked after him, and if you look at it, there are also gains to it.
And this follows international best practices.
Yes.
So that's why you're saying that. You're saying that it's a quite professional operation.
Yes,
the way the army is going.
They've been very professional about it, and we must also give it to them that the human rights record, as far as this war against insurgency is concerned, is respectable. Yes, I traveled with I traveled with the Global Amnesty Watch, an international organization that I researched for, to Maiduguri, and this was the time that issues of meningitis were raised, in camps. And when we got in there, sometimes one is tempted to even want to participate in what people are doing in the Northeast, because people who ordinarily have terrorized the state, Boko Haram suspects, were kept in military facilities where they even have access to television. They have access to good water, they have access to good food, news 3 times, better than people outside.
Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there's a lot more of that, where that came from. Major, one of the reasons why perhaps the figures are so high when you have these kind of engagements, you have a standard...
The figure is not even high.
Oh, okay.
Very negligible.
Okay. If that is so, that they are talking about it, that the professionals are talking about it, it just goes to underline everything that has just been said by Philip.
What the professionals are trying to do is to reduce it to 0.
Well, if possible.
If possible.
Which really is not going to be...
It may not be
possible. Because what I wanted to bring up is that what is giving rise to some of these kind of situations would be the tactics that necessarily come into being as a result of it being a standard army, that is the Nigerian army, and guerrillas. They go by a number of names, but let's just use guerrillas who adopt unconventional tactics. I've been reading that sometimes even terrain can favor either the insurgents or the military in terms of and Sambisa forest has been cited.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Let me go back into history. When PMB became the president of Nigeria, he gave instruction that he wanted Boko Haram defeated by December 15, right? Yeah. That was achieved. Conventionally, General Buratai came on board May or somewhere in June?
No, July.
July, thank you. Yes. And within a period of 5 months, he did what others couldn't do for 6 years. Boko Haram have been in this country since 2009, operating covertly until the army engaged them. That was April 2009. And then they came out in full force. Now, because they have been defeated, there are remnants among them, the little ones within the clans, within the villages, who are members and parts of various cells of these insurgents, are now conducting unconventional operations. My brother, it happens everywhere in the world.
When you say they are conducting unconventional, even the whole Boko Haram effort, is it not going to be unconventional tactics?
The totality as at then, so the idea as at then was to gain ground and hold a part of Nigeria.
I think let me comment.
Sure.
Okay, please.
Yes, you see, there are issues we have to take into cognizance in discussing this. The current dimension of Boko Haram operation, if you look at it very well, critically, analyze and assess the way the operations are going, you will just understand that Boko Haram is, responding to the psychological and the social demands, of the defeat.
Yes.
And to a large extent, the Nigerian authority as well, is trying to manage, the huge success, because it is unexpected. I want to believe that
you've got to hold territories you have gained.
Yes, when we talk about holding territories that we have gained, there was a time that the insurgent threatened the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. the military as a defense institution came in to defend that territory. Now Boko Haram has reverted back to its old operational method of challenging the internal security of the country. And to that extent, this is the area where the civil police, the Nigerian police force should come in, the National Security Defense Corps should come in, and even the Nigeria Immigration Service should come in. Because a time came that they were driven outside the territories of Nigeria. We've been to the headquarters of the Multinational Joint Task Force, and you see that even the troops that are carrying out this mop-up operation in that level, majority of them are Nigerian troops. There've not been much effort on the part of other neighboring countries, you know, who pledged. And in 2010, we raised this issue, you know, at the level of ECOWAS, where I represented the Nigerian authorities. And I made it very clear when we went through the budgeting of ECOWAS, we realized that Nigeria was contributing 53%, you know, to ECOWAS funding. But we could not assume the position of the Commissioner for Finance in the ECOWAS. That is also taking place in the Multinational Joint Task Force. And we cannot take that away from the question of troop supply, you know, troops available to these countries. And even resources. We have committed largely. We need these people, you know, we need the other countries to assist, you know, in manning their borders and helping to ensure that people don't walk into our country, because to the extent that Boko Haram has become a Borno affair and centered around that Lake Chad, you know,
and the borders are so porous.
So for us to be able to hold these territories that we have reclaimed, the police, they have a lot to do.
They have a lot to do.
And even the civil populace.
Yes, I'm going to come back. I know. I'm going to come back and we'll get that. Thank you very, very much, Philip, because there's so much stuff coming out of there. But he did say something that I wanted to touch upon. One of the areas of difficulty must be the kind of surgical precision that's going to be necessary by a professional force to prosecute a war, oftentimes in built-up areas, in villages. And the point has been made that making it more difficult are some villagers that actually might be on the side of the enemy, and experts say they have studied this, and they can just nip in, eat, and then come out again and go back to their formation. So
the humane nature of the Nigerian army.
You don't know who is who.
Yes.
This, what is it now? The enemy within, sort of a situation.
Yes. The humane nature of the Nigerian army. The head himself, General Buratai, he's a guy that he's more concerned with the lives of the civilians, far much more than even the men he governs. You know, you just mentioned something now. You talk about built-up areas, the Boko Haram themselves using the abducted individuals as shields. Nothing stopped the Air Force from bombing.
And pretending to be, some of them pretending to be civilians, whereas they actually...
Exactly.
You know,
there was a particular time that the location of Boko Haram, the BHC was known, but the 200 plus Chibok girls, plus over 1,000 other civilians that have been kidnapped were with them, and they were using them as shields. So it was practically impossible.
Because they knew the Nigerian army would not drop anything on them.
God bless
you know, would not drop anything on them once they can see that there are civilians amongst them.
So that makes it very hard, very uneasy for the Nigerian army to penetrate most of these areas.
Well, so this can, I appreciate what you've already said, that look, don't let us diminish the successes that have been made, but that army personnel are still talking about this and talking about mitigating collateral damage. I think that is a plus for the Nigerian army.
Thank you.
Because it's a thumbs up that at least it's a professional fighting force. But, okay. The experts, the academics, the eggheads have got together. How do we reduce this? It depends on the culture of the people. Apparently, if some people within certain cultures where there's a war being prosecuted, I don't know, if they are, they have a higher tolerance for pain, seems to be the way it is going.
No, actually,
then what?
Actually, there is a situation, and if the experts are talking about the culture of these people, then we must
talking
look,
globally.
Yes, globally.
They're talking globally.
Globally.
That
I'm
it
talking
will
about
depend
culture.
on the culture of where the war is being prosecuted.
No, if you look at it, the Northeast, Boko Haram at one point, okay, the counter-insurgency operation has been limited to Northeast operation against the insurgents, because the Northeast, was the area where these people actually did all that they did. If you look at it, in Adamawa State, there used to be prevalent of, it was in Adamawa State that the then serving chief of defense staff's village, Mubi, was overrun by insurgents. Now, if we go back to the recent incident, that just took place, and without attempting to criminalize or demonize any group of persons or locality, these things no longer take place in in Yobe State. It is no longer in Adamawa State. It is no longer in Gobe. It's no longer in Bauchi, but just in Borno State.
Okay.
And
now,
a very small area.
Yes, and a very small area. So that is to say that we must agree with those experts who have, figured out. Then another vital area that we must look at, and not just the people alone. You see, the defeat of Boko Haram in Nigeria has rendered, groups of persons, jobless.
The defeat of Boko Haram?
Yes, the defeat of Boko Haram.
How's that?
Okay, one, I'll give 3 examples, and let me take it this way. The crisis entrepreneurs, we narrow down to arms sellers, manufacturers of armament, and even people who benefit from abduction, cries, and all of that. There's this team, that come out, on regular basis. They wear all manner of uniform. They conduct themselves.
Disguises.
They disguise to be crying for the interests of the Nigerian people. They take money from international organizations and donors abroad. They come out, regularly to say, bring out those who have been abducted. They say, bring out. So now Boko Haram has studied that psychology. This set of persons have been put out of job for some time. Okay. Because since, and even if those who, what about the commentators? The people who also make regular appearances, here, for the fact that Boko Haram has been defeated, they've not been job for anyone to discuss this issue. So that is where some of this sympathy, for Boko Haram. Yes.
Wait, coming on television, is that part of your job?
No. As a matter of fact, not just television, the analysts, so many.
Okay. It's like its own little mini industry.
No, yes, it's an industry. So majority of persons in this industry, they'll be put off.
I see.
I'm very sure you invited me to come and speak here as a patriot and not as an agitator.
That's why I was surprised.
And that is why I have to. That is why I have to address the issue the way they are.
Sure.
I wish you had invited me to come speak as a member of a political party. Of course, it would have been easier for me to arrive here and tell you that Boko Haram has taken over the whole of Nigeria. But I have come to speak as a patriot, and we must address these issues. Mind you that these people who are behind this war, the Boko Haram, they are very powerful people. So no one dares, to say anything, that will undermine their political or business interests. And coming back home, when we look at it again, the promoters of Boko Haram activities on the social media and other media platforms, the people who twist the report, because what Boko Haram is doing at the moment, is this isolated attacks and very high media.
You now talk it up. Exactly. You talk it up.
You see,
yes. Let me hear.
Okay.
Thanks for coming up with the media issue. Your journalist hangout, right? There's a particular guy that Babajide.
Yes.
I like Babajide. Initially, I thought he was bringing up cogent points. Of late, he's always condemning the Nigerian army. Not just him, a few others. Part of the business.
Okay, that's the impression you get.
That's the impression I got.
Being critical is not the same as condemning.
Not critics. That is not even critical.
Okay.
It's condemnation, disparaging, defacing. Since Boko Haram has not been defeated, there are 2 different types of operation. Conventional.
Yes.
I remember sometime last 2015, the governor of Borno State came on here, was crying. The first time I saw a Nigerian governor cry, he said he's not controlling. He has no control. Okay.
After.
Yeah?
After
okay, after
Sami
Bagwe. He said he
But
has
joke,
no
that was
land.
the-
He said he has no
was
land
not-
to control. Over 80% of his states were under Boko Haram. Within 5 months, the present military, under the leadership of Oga Olonshaki and General Buratai, made it. As at now, Boko Haram has no place they can call their own. And the only thing they can do is what they're doing now.
Yeah, okay. But
And-
I just wanted to get in
excuse me.
that. I'm sure that no patriot is going to be part of disparagement of the Nigerian army.
Excuse me.
Uh,
You know
uh,
something that gladdens my heart?
But that was the read you took.
Yes, you know something that gladdens my heart? The guys in the theater of war,
Yes.
the men, right there in the battlefield, they have no opportunity to see televisions and listen to radios.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they have had issues like this, or read things like this on the social media or on the television or printing media and whatever, they will be so discouraged.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
They will
Actually,
be so discouraged that some of them might even decide to dump the weapons and move away.
No, that is
which
true.
wrong.
But you see, that is true. But I want to, as much as we want to continue to celebrate the successes of the Nigerian army or the Nigerian military under the leadership of General Olonshaki, we must also, begin to look at the structural issues that have taken place in the Nigerian military for us to have what we have today. And
When you talk about structural issues, we're putting this in the context of mitigating casualties of collateral damage,
Exactly.
accident, not accidental discharge, but
yes.
being caught up in the crossfire.
Yes, you see.
And the Chief of Defense Staff saying that highly trained men, but in spite of that, there still are challenges, and that's why we're getting together.
No, we appreciate them. Nigerians, have also demonstrated enormously that the Nigerian military is appreciated.
Yes. So
We have seen people on their own, came out, to pray for the military,
support of the military.
mobilize themselves into a group. As much as we want to continue to dwell on that, there are also institutional reforms that have taken place in the Nigerian military. And it is part of that institutional reform that we're having this discussion, as a brainchild of the national context, mitigating the civilian casualty. The military today, have a unit that looks at human rights issues and other issues as regards civilian casualties. If you also look at it, to a large extent, the military, even the fact that it is not their duty, to help in the reconstruction and rehabilitation of these territories. We have equally seen areas where the Nigerian military make effort in the theater of operation to make life more comfortable. I've witnessed
so what you're telling me really is
Yes.
that it's all right to talk about this collateral damage business, but quite frankly, things are not too bad. In fact, it has been said that the respectability of the army in terms of human rights is highly respectable.
Yes.
So it's like we're saying that there isn't really a problem.
No, let me
that,
tell you.
sorry,
Let me just say
even
this.
towards that,
Yes.
the Nigerian army has a director, a whole major general is the director of civil relations.
Okay.
He handles all issues. And in fact, most of the time, he's within the theater command. Anything relating to civilians, not just. And in fact, the incident with the IDP is the only thing I've heard where there had been any civilian collateral damage.
Yes, which was an accident.
It was completely
It
an
was
accident.
But I wonder if it's possible to also consider the aspect of what we're talking about. Not accidents, but just for there being a war and Boko Haram or any other insurgent people are not going to be following the rules, the international best practices.
Definitely.
The armies know what the best practices are and will not do well, or are not supposed to.
This again brings us, to the areas where, international NGOs
Yes.
come into the country, stay at the Federal Capital Territory, gather reports, churn them out, you know, and
so armchair critics.
Yes.
I don't even trust
but you see,
you know, I got to go on a break. I beg your pardon. Let me come back. The break, this break matter is not democratic. I'm very, very sorry.
Fantastic.
I'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Welcome back, and a quite animated conversation going on. I interrupted you. Would you like to continue?
Yes,
please.
Yes. We have an issue today in our country.
Because where he left it was that, look, the army is very, very well equipped for interacting with civilian populations.
Exactly.
No, that we'll also give it to the military. They have been doing their best. If you take the public relations unit, for instance, you know, they've been forthcoming, and if you notice the recent, gap in communication, you know, in terms of rescue operation, you know, that took place during the recent ambush of troops and even the NNPC workers. As a matter of fact, I always sympathize with our military because I've visited that theater of operation more than 7 times this year.
Okay.
Yes, and I know exactly what they are going through and what, you know, the sacrifices they are making for us to be able to occupy Abuja safely and be in Lagos here this morning for this conversation without any fear of terrorist attack outside here. But yesterday, yesterday the chief of the acting president delegated and directed the service chiefs to move to Borno.
They're there.
Yes. At arrival in Borno, some of us who are very deep in looking at some of these issues, we saw it very well. And you can, if you do your investigation very well, you know that these are not people that are in Borno to save their job. They are people who have gone to Borno to save their country.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Isiaka from Benue State, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, please.
All right. Please, I appreciate the work that you people are doing, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much.
Doing a very nice job. Mostly we that are living in other part of the country, we don't know what is happening in Borno. We always in the media, they kill social person, they bomb social place. All those things are not encouraging our military. Really, we know the sacrifice that they have made. We have younger ones that they are there. You know, we have never heard about them, but we believe that they are doing a good job. So let Nigerians be encouraging them. Not that all the time we're saying that they are doing something against human rights. It's not good. Please,
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Isiaka, Mr. Isiaka, for calling. Major, you sort of highlighted the effect, the role, and then the effect of the press. Wherever it is, radio, TV, newspaper, social media,
exactly.
This mass communication, and well, thank God, doing as well as you gentlemen have recounted that our boys in uniforms are doing. Oftentimes, the theater of operation, they don't even see any of this. But you don't seem to be satisfied with coverage of these engagements. If I'm right. You said it can be demoralizing, confusing, exactly. But you know that in war times and even these kind of insurgents, you know, even PR becomes a tool. That's when I think they begin to, they now turn the word into, what was that other word from public, whatever, the word escapes, you know, propaganda.
Propaganda, yes.
You know.
Yeah, Uncle Yorisi, soldiers are human beings. They have families at home. But they have decided to sacrifice their lives for the nation. And these boys that are out there, these men that are out there, have families at home. And they are fighting tooth, nail with everything. Most of them live in trenches. They have been in trenches for over 6 months. So even if there are instances where errors occur,
okay,
the media should understand. package whatever you have noted.
Sort of remember that we're both on the same side.
Yeah, exactly. Package whatever information you gather, package whatever critique that you have, and send it to the information center in Abuja that have been established by the army. It will go a long way to help in, you know what we call CEM,
you know that journalists generally resent being processed.
No, going you know what we call feedback management.
Okay.
We are in the civil business where organizations collect feedbacks from their customers, you know, and it improves their production and performance and sales and marketing and everything. It could be done with the army.
I see.
Whatever is noted, whether good or bad, package and send to the information center.
Okay, Philip, I'm going to come to you. I see that you want to come in there, and rightly so, because as you said, as a researcher, you probably also have engagements with these institutions. But I want to bring in Folani in Agege. Good morning, sir.
Hello, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. See, the problem of insurgency in Nigeria is a very, very serious issue. Now, the thing is, journalists must also tell the truth of what is happening at the theater of incidents. Someone like Babajide Kolade Otitoju went to that place. I watched it on TV, and I saw Goza. He was at Goza. I saw how they destroyed everything. Are you telling me because we went to encourage our military men that we should not tell the truth? We must always tell the truth. Either we are going to encourage them or not, the truth is always the truth. Why should we hide the truth from Nigerians?
Okay. Well, Mr. Folani, thank you very much. That's the point you wanted to contribute to this. Okay, sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Let me appreciate Mr. Folari for that call. He has said nothing but the truth, because it is actually in telling the truth and us knowing the state of the war as it were yesterday that we are able to appreciate the current situation. However, permit me, to disagree with him a bit too, because we cannot take away the Judas factor from every organization. I've encountered an incident where I was actually in Chibok, and I received a text message from a journalist friend of mine, whose name I would not like to mention here, who sent a text message in and said, Philip, don't go to Chibok. A bomb just went off there, 22 persons died in Chibok. And I was shocked. I had to ask the people there if there was a second Chibok, and virtually the man was texting, from Abuja while I was in Chibok, and there was nothing like that in Chibok. That is to say.
And you feel a lot of that happens?
Yes, on daily basis.
Dissemination
so
of
as
falsehood.
much as we also, want the public, the world to know the truth about the situation, it is even in our own best interest to know the truth of the situation in the Northeast. But because it is in knowing the truth of the situation in the Northeast that people are able to conduct their businesses outside the Northeast. For instance, how can a man convince you, to go to bed with your eyes closed in Abuja when Bauchi, is on fire, or when Jos is on fire?
Okay, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna. If anyone has called in, I wanted to react to some of the things you said, but if anyone, good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Ifenyuwa, and I stay in Lagos here.
Okay.
I want to specifically appreciate the Chief of Army Staff, Buresai. He's really working, and we can testify to that. So we're asking our president to give him more time, extra 2 years to continue his work.
Okay. Well,
and I really feel the guy in the studio, Philip Agbese, he's really doing a good job.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Okay, a little kudos for the general there. Major, Mr. Folani, who called in from Agege, said when he was, as it were, addressing the point you made about complaining about a program and the tone of one of the participants, that, look, he saw Otitoju, for example, in a theater of operation, and the implication of that statement is that, look, shouldn't he come back and tell us exactly what he saw? Since he's going to be reporting things from his own point of view, what he saw, if he now feels that the army is this, it's not up to scratch there, shouldn't he say what he feels? But I know that in reporting wars, countries often require even the press to be circumspect.
No. Apart from that, national
security.
But
sorry. The problem is that I must hear from Major. I'm sorry.
I have not said that Babajide had not said what he saw.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, he has been there many times. He confirmed being there many times. That's
Yes.
Babajide, from what I heard on TV
Yes.
anyway. And he's always hammering on the fact that Boko Haram has not been defeated. Boko Haram has been defeated.
Okay.
Remnants. Remnants within an enclave.
I get you.
Are the ones now that are perpetuating this bombing activities.
Please let him land, and then you rebut whatever you want to rebut.
Truth must be said as truth. There should be no doctoring, whitewashing of anything. Say it as you have seen it, and not imply or assume.
And which is international best practices anyhow.
Yeah, of course it is.
Let me take Apostle Diamond before I come to you, sir. I will come to you. Apostle Diamond, good morning, sir, in Iba.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Yori will do. Thank you very much, sir.
Very well, you know the nature of my duty. You know very well, in West. I can tell you vividly about that axis from Goza, Bama, even extending to Adamawa to Madagali. You see, that place is a vast land. Even when you even talk about the Chad, what we call the river basin area axis, where the Boko Haram operates from, they are still there. They are there. So for goodness sake, the soldiers should go.
Apostle Diamond, yes. they are still there. As we are saying on the program, the experts are telling us that they are there, but remnants are there. Now, are you disputing that? Are you saying that you have the impression that you are not being leveled with?
Come in again. I can't hear you.
Oh, sir, I said since the experts are saying that Boko Haram has been defeated, it doesn't mean there aren't remnants going through the death throes. Are you disputing that?
The remnants are many. They are many. They are scattered all over the place.
Okay.
The remnants are, you see, we can easily strip those remnants by getting a very good information from the locals. And not only that, the Nigerian army should go intensively into all the nook and crannies. You will get all these guys. They are there.
Okay then, sir. Thank you very much. As you said, I do know the nature of your duty. It's a uniform, but not a military uniform. But again, you also have to do with borders and that kind of a thing. So I understand what he's saying, but he seems to be taking exception with the notion that Boko Haram has effectively been defeated. And this is a notion that our program Journalists Hangout also put out. Exactly. By eyewitness account.
Yes, actually, I don't think there is any independent investigator who has visited the Northeast as much as I have done.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
That's good for us.
And the fellow
so you're saying that you can also give a first-hand account?
Yes, the fellow who just made this call.
Folari Inagege.
Folari Inagege, and one other person phoned from Iba.
Yes.
It was
Apostle Diamond.
Yes, it was TVC vehicle that picked me from the airport this morning when I arrived from Abuja. So I'm not just speaking as one who, has been invited to come here from Okoko, Michael, or Oshodi.
You've also been to these theaters.
Yes. So as a matter of fact, I think the dubious notion that Boko Haram has not been defeated is not to appreciate the amount of trauma that those of us in Abuja and the surrounding communities went through, in 2 years in the hands of Boko Haram. It is not to appreciate also the effort of the Nigerian military, in putting their lives on the line, making all the sacrifices, staying away from their families to ensure that we get this success and our country is recovered to this point. Let me also make this point that the international organizations and agencies and government, have stood up to affirm and reaffirm the defeat of Boko Haram in Nigeria. And one thing, that we must give to the current crop of leaders. When
you say defeat of Boko Haram, their back has been broken.
Finally. That is why today, the only thing we hear, is an issue like the recent ambush of troops, and explorers who went to that place
soft
to work.
Targets.
Now, what these people want to impress on the larger society is to tell people that we are still available.
Okay,
and the
rest of us could inadvertently be furthering that message, seems to be the point you're making, if we're not careful. Mohammed in Damaturu, Yobe State, thank you for holding on, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Carry on, please.
I want to contribute to the fact that Boko Haram has not been defeated, but they have been seriously weakened.
Okay, that's your perspective from where you are sitting.
I'm calling from Damaturu. I have a very clear picture of what is happening here.
Okay, could you help us a bit more? I mean, I hear the statement you've made, but what led you to that conclusion? What are your experiences? What are your sightings?
Okay, the number of attacks and the locations where these attacks are taking place. That's one. Secondly, the military needs to be focused. Focused in the sense that we learned that some of the military are running fish business in Baga, some are running water too. So they need to be focused for them to defeat the Boko Haram.
Okay.
That's all.
Stay with me, please. One moment, please, Mr. Mohammed. The other plank of our conversation this morning is I'm wondering, unacceptable level of civilian casualty in engagements like this. Military experts are meeting to see how to lower this. Since you have a very clear view, a very good view where you are at, can you appreciate that our authorities are seeking in the conduct of their duty to minimize as much as possible civilian casualties?
Well, I quite appreciate the effort that authorities are making in limiting the number of civilian casualties. But look at it this way. Boko Haram are looking at soft targets. And looking at soft targets. Target in the sense that they go to where the military are less in number. So the only way to deal with that problem is to gather enough intelligence.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. In Damaturu, Yobe, where he says he has a very clear view of some of the effects of all of this. Again, his experience, not unlike Babajide's, which is causing some ire, is that look, I'm here. I wouldn't say it has been defeated, but can that be because the indices for success or defeat or otherwise are different probably from the professional indices?
No, you see, the military have equally introduced some of these terminologies to help us. And that boils down to the integrity of the leadership. There was a time that the Nigerian authorities said Boko Haram has been technically defeated.
Yes.
We migrated from that point. At this point, roads were not open in the northeast for people to carry out businesses. And when we look at that statement, we research further to see why government will come out to say we have technically defeated this group. Then another point, the military came up and told Nigerians and the world that Boko Haram has been defeated. This point, it became possible for people to access markets. It became possible for schools to be opened and normalcy to return in the northeast. And the Nigerian people came back to say, yes, we appreciate you for defeating Boko Haram. Okay. And recently, again, the same military, integrity-driven military authority came on board again and told us, we have defeated Boko Haram. What we need to do now is to eliminate the scourge of terrorism in our country. Okay. And if you look at it
when you look at that statement, yes, we've defeated Boko Haram. The major challenge is the scourge
to eliminate
the scourge of terrorism.
And now the military is now battling with all the assets of terrorism financiers, sponsors, supporters, and all manner of people, and those persons, you know, who have equally constituted themselves to a noisy choir in the blogosphere, in the name of opposition, or even an attempt to take over from the existing government in 2019.
So there's some mischief involved in some of the communication.
Yes, as much as I
saying.
wouldn't want to mention names,
but
you and I know very well, like to say that Boko Haram has not...
Mazi Okorafor, I'll be with you. 1 second, please.
Yes, Mazi, please, let me just make this point. Now, there are people who sit in the comfort of their living rooms in Ekiti or Port Harcourt, and they tell you that Boko Haram has not been defeated.
Okay, one
but
moment,
they do not know what Boko Haram looks like.
Oh, okay. Mazi Okorafor, thank you very much.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess. You see, in Nigeria today, we talk too much before the action. Look, something happened in Afghanistan early this morning. One major actor of their Al-Qaeda was killed before the announcement by the American government. That is what we call action. You see, they have been looking for this guy since, but they kept quiet. They were using their strategies. You see, Nigerian military should put the drones into use. Because 70% job they want to do in order to track down all these vagabonds in that bush is drone. Look, the strategizing issue is major issue that we have in this country, because the drone has a lot of good purposes for us. We have all those things. Does it mean that we don't have people that are capable of using it? Now, what is the job of the intelligence unit? When you use the drone, you see that, look, let us go. Russian people are there, Israeli people are there, they are ready to give us our... Let us bring them and let them give us exactly how to map it. That area, as far as I'm concerned, is a very small area that should be quite clear. Those boys should not be terrorizing Nigeria every day itself. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant day in Lagos.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Again, commenting, one of the comments Mazi made in there about some, well, I guess sometimes the authorities are between between a rock and a hard place. He's saying they're giving out too much information. They say what they're going to do. They say what they're at. He was comparing it with something that came out of America this morning, where he says nobody knew anything until they were able to announce both the assignment and the successful execution of the assignment.
No, I think Mazi, you know, has spoken in one of the realms that I've found myself before. I've been privileged to play football in my dream before, and in that dream, you know, to say that the northeast area is a very small zone is likened to what I had in my dream, where, you know, I as a goalkeeper I dribbled and made a score and virtually, you know,
a preposterous idea.
Yes.
You think the whole thing is preposterous if anybody were to say, look, it's a small job, you know, it's a relatively small area.
No, and that is the reason why we are here today. We are here this morning in solidarity, you know, with international conventions and laws. As much as we want to win this war, in one day, we are also aware that some persons have even been pushed into Boko Haram, not out of their own free will. These are some persons have been held hostage, and if you look at it, the recent abductions, you know, that were carried out from the videos that were released by the terrorists, these guys have asked the people they have abducted to cry in that video and beg the Nigerian government to come out to rescue them.
As happens in any kidnap, well, some kidnap
the
authorities are aware of all these tricks.
Good.
No doubt.
So we cannot locate that. We cannot encourage the military from the human rights view and ask the military to go all out for them. You know, to a large extent, people who even sponsor these guys should be ashamed of themselves, because to a large extent, within a short period of time, they have been able to reduce them to nothing but the advanced kind of operation,
Mr.
you know, here in Lagos.
I want to thank you very much, and we've completely run out of time. Philip Agbese, human rights researcher, public affairs analyst as well, and thank you very much for your perspectives and also what you bring to bear from having been at the theater. And also Major Daniel Banjo, retired. Thank you very, very much, sir, as well, for also bringing the perspective to us and helping us understand what the issues are and some of the challenges. And, you know, you did lay your point that you're not entirely happy with everything that the press does.
There are two issues that we not touch in here. The moles.
5 seconds.
The moles, in not just the military.
Okay.
in the government.
Spies.
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 The,
Internal spies.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see military ambush.
Sorry. I can't. I don't have the time. I'm very, very sorry.
Okay,
Thank you
sir.
very much, sirs, for coming on. Okay, so that's our program. Join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now. I'm so sorry.